indicate that Elizabeth Bathory's descent into murder began as early as the 90s. Initially, her victims were servant girls, often drawn from the peasant class, but as time passed, she escalated her brutality, targeting even the daughters of noble families. The accounts of her actions are harrowing. She is said to have subjected these girls to unimaginable horrors, including beatings, mutilation, and starvation. The gruesome details paint a chilling portrait of a woman whose thirst for cruelty seems insatiable, turning Chete Castle into a sight of terror. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Dark and Divine Encounters. I'm your host, Denise Dodge, and each episode I will be guiding you through two real, unexplained encounters, one eerie and the other one uplifting. Life is a mix of trials and triumphs, and I've seen the paranormal is no different. To subscribe, hit the like button, and follow us on social media for updates. New episodes drop every Wednesday until the season ends. Please share this podcast with people you know who love scary stories, spiritual lore, and anything unexplained. Please note this podcast features stories of paranormal activity and true crime, which may contain details or descriptions of events and incidents that may be unsettling or triggering for some listeners. So take care of your needs first and always. Today for our dark segment, we are taking you into the chill of Elizabeth Bathory, known for her famous blood baths in search of eternal youth through the blood of virgins. A 16-year Hungarian countess believed that bathing in the blood of young girls would preserve her beauty and vitality. This dark obsession led to the gruesome deaths of many innocent lives, putting her legacy in horror and mystery. Fine segment, we're going to hear about the Tibetan Rites, an ancient practice believed to promote vitality and longevity without the need for such dark measures. The Tibetan Rites are a series of exercises designed to enhance physical health, emotional balance, and spiritual well-being, encouraging a youthful spirit and body naturally without the need for virgin blood. Today, we're stepping into the dark and twisted world of one of history's most infamous figures, the woman known as the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory. Born into Hungarian nobility, she is said to have tortured and murdered hundreds of young girls in one of the most chilling crime sprees ever recorded. But what makes her story even more terrifying is the legend that grew around her. The belief that she bathed in the blood of her victims because she was convinced it would keep her eternally young. But was this monstrous behavior born from madness, or were there other factors at play? Was Elizabeth Bathory a product of her environment, one of the violent, brutal world she grew up in, or did something deeper drive her to commit these unspeakable acts? In today's episode, we'll uncover the facts of her life, explore the possible origins of the bloodbath myth, and ask the question, how did a noblewoman become one of the most terrifying legends of all time? Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560 into the powerful and highly influential Bathory family, the most prominent noble families in Hungary at the time. The bloodline boasted connections to some of the most notable figures in European nobility. One of her relatives was Bathory, the King of Poland, and Grand Duke of Lithuania, cementing her family's influence across the vast regions of Central Europe. Into this world of privilege, wealth, and authority, Elizabeth was destined for a life of power. But not all those with power use it for good. At an early age, Elizabeth was noted for her intelligence and sharp mind, traits that set her apart in a society where noble women were often valued only for their marriages and ability to pop babies out. However, it wasn't just her intellect that marked her early years. Elizabeth suffered from violent seizures, which some historians believe were caused by the inbreeding, which was common among noble families that were trying to preserve their bloodlines. These physical and possibly neurological challenges may have influenced her behavior later in life, contributing to her infamous cruelty. There was more than just medical issues shaping the young Elizabeth. She grew up in an environment drenched in violence, cruelty, and superstition. Members of her own family were rumored to have practiced the dark arts. Her uncle was allegedly a practitioner of Satanism, while one of her aunts was said to be a sadist who enjoyed torturing the servants. I had to Google it, and yes, there were actually Satanists and devil worshippers during the late 1500s. They weren't common or widely spoken about, but they did exist. No, I didn't. Anyways, so these rumors, whether they were true or exaggerated over time, they do paint a picture of a very confusing and troubling upbringing where violence and cruelty were normalized and potentially celebrated. It's hard to say for certain what drove her down this terrifying path, but her upbringing certainly provides clues to the violent tendencies that would later emerge in the blood-soaked legends of the Blood Countess. At the age of 15, Elizabeth Bathory was married to Ferenc Nadasdy, a wealthy Hungarian nobleman whose reputation earned him the nickname the Black Knight. Known for his brutal military exploits during the wars against the Ottoman Empire, Ferenc was as feared as he was respected. Their union wasn't just a marriage, but a strategic alliance between two very powerful noble families. Elizabeth, now a young wife, moved into Chete Castle, a grand estate that would later become the infamous site of horrifying crimes. Ferenc spent much of their marriage away at war, leaving Elizabeth in charge of their vast estates. Some accounts suggest that during his time at home, Ferenc taught Elizabeth methods of torture, sharing with her the cruelty that he had witnessed and perhaps engaged in during battle. Whether or not he was fully aware of what Elizabeth would eventually do remains unclear, but these rumors of shared brutality have persisted throughout history. Despite his feared reputation, Ferenc's direct involvement in her later crimes remains a complete mystery. Together, Elizabeth and Ferenc had 5 children, though very little is known about their lives or relationships with their mother. The records about them are sparse, and they seem to have lived far away from the chaos that later engulfed their mother's life. There is no evidence to suggest that they were aware or involved in Elizabeth's horrific activities at Chete Castle. As Ferenc's health deteriorated and he ended up passing away in 1604, Elizabeth was left to manage her estate entirely on her own. It's after his death that many believe Elizabeth's violent tendencies began to escalate, unleashing the full extent of her cruelty on the young women and girls who served her. Reports indicate that Elizabeth Bathory's descent into murder began as early as the 1590s. Initially, her victims were servant girls, often drawn from the peasant class, but as time passed, she escalated the brutality and started targeting the daughters of noble families. Accounts of her actions are harrowing. She is said to have subjected these young girls to unimaginable horrors, including beatings, mutilation, starvation. The gruesome details paint a really chilling portrait whose thirst for cruelty seems insatiable, turning Chete Castle into a site of absolute terror. Psychological analysis of Elizabeth's behavior leads to disturbing theories. Some experts suggest that she may have suffered from a sadistic personality disorder or some other similar mental illness, which could have been exacerbated by the physical seizures that she experienced throughout her life, breeding in her genetics. We have no data on how her physical brain developed in relation to the incest that was practiced by sisters and the people before her. Coupled with her exposure to extreme violence in the family, these factors may have contributed to a really warped sense of reality and a complete detachment from the suffering of her victims. She basically had zero empathy or compassion, either due to environmental influences or mental illness or even both. The horrors she inflicted upon others raise questions about the psychological scars left by her upbringing. Another layer of complexity to her actions emerges after the death of her husband, Ferenc, in 1604.
Hey, are you ready to turn your house into a smart home? With Eufy, you can join over 9 million families worldwide who trust Eufy for top-notch smart home technology. They believe great products should be thoughtfully designed to meet your needs. They have a variety of products from cleaning technology like robot vacuums, vacuum cleaners, and smart scales, to security technology like security cameras, video doorbells, cameras with lights. They even have baby products like breast pumps and smart socks. You have to check it out. At Eufy, they care about more than just functional performance. Their intuitive, human-first technology seamlessly integrates into your life, helping you focus on what truly matters. Plus, with a hassle-free warranty, a 30-day money-back guarantee, free shipping, and lifetime customer service, you can have peace of mind for you and your family. If you want to support our podcast while enjoying amazing smart home products, click on my affiliate link to shop at Eufy. The link is in my show description, and your purchase helps keep our show running. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and invite your friends and family to listen to our podcast too. And if you happen to be listening on Spotify, scroll down to participate in the questionnaire or leave a comment. Thank you so much.
Another layer of complexity to her actions emerges after the death of her husband Ferenc in 1604. His passing may have been a catalyst for Elizabeth's violent behavior to escalate further. With Ferenc gone, she was no longer constrained by his presence or influence, possibly unleashing the darkness that had been brewing within her. This is just a theory. We don't really know. The loss of her partner could have intensified her isolation and pushed her towards the brutal acts that would seal her legacy as one of history's most notorious figures. As the years went on, Elizabeth's crimes became more elaborate and sadistic, drawing attention and whispers from the surrounding communities. But for a time, she was able to maintain her noble facade, hiding her atrocities behind the walls of her castle. Yet, the walls would eventually close in, and the truth behind the Blood Countess would not remain buried forever. In 16th century Hungary, the nobility held immense and often unchecked power over their estates. A perfect environment for someone like Elizabeth Bathory to conceal her heinous acts. With little oversight from the authorities and a society that frequently turned a blind eye to the misdeeds of the elite, Elizabeth could operate with impunity within the confines of her castle. This isolation, combined with her noble status, provided her the shield she needed to carry out her atrocities without fear of immediate consequence. This is a killer psychopath's ideal setup. The nature of violence that permeated Hungarian society during this time cannot be overlooked. The frequent wars and conflicts fostered by a brutal atmosphere desensitized people from the suffering and death that they were constantly exposed to. Brutal backdrop likely played a role in shaping Elizabeth's worldview, where the value of life was severely diminished. Violence was completely normalized and was considered a normal response to conflict. up amid this type of chaos, Elizabeth may have internalized the notion that power, domination, and cruelty were acceptable ways to exert control over others. Moreover, the era was steeped in superstitions, beliefs in witchcraft, alchemy, the occult, all sorts of interesting different topics. These cultural beliefs were prevalent, and there is zero reason why Elizabeth wasn't influenced by them in her pursuit of eternal youth and power. Rumors swirled about her alleged involvement in dark magic, which just kept feeding into the growing legend that surrounded her. Elizabeth's affinity for the occult and her engagement with the darker sides of humanity only added to her notoriety. A society that both feared and revered the supernatural, her actions could have been viewed as both sinister and seductive. This complex interplay of cultural beliefs and her noble isolation contributed to her transformation into Countess. The legend of Elizabeth Bathory is inextricably linked to the chilling belief that she bathed in the blood of virgins to maintain her youth and beauty. The bloodbath myth, it emerged from her actions, but it also emerged from the fears and fascinations of a society that was trying very hard to understand the depths of her depravity. No actual proof that she bathed in blood, but is a lot of evidence to support her torturing people. Context of Elizabeth's blood was often viewed as a potent substance in both medicine and magic. It held a revered place in various cultural practices. It was believed to possess the ability to heal or grant power. This belief system likely provided fertile ground for the legend to take root, allowing the gruesome tales surrounding her to flourish. Her reputation for cruelty spread, so too did the narratives that transformed her into the figure that she became. Adding to this myth are the rich veins of folklore surrounding vampirism and magic that permeated Eastern Europe during this time. There were stories of creatures that drank blood for sustenance and tales of dark sorcery. These stories were so common, and they were feeding into the collective psyche of a society steeped in superstition. The symbolism of blood as a representation of vitality and life gave rise to the idea that consuming or bathing in it could restore youth. This cultural backdrop likely influenced how Elizabeth's actions were interpreted and exaggerated over time, merging her narrative with elements of vampiric lore. Discovery of Elizabeth Bathory's heinous crimes began in 10 when the whispers of horror from noble families started reaching the ears of King Matthias II. He was alarmed by the allegations. The king ordered an investigation into the dark rumors surrounding her castle. Witnesses stepped forward. They started recounting chilling tales of hundreds of young girls who had been tortured and murdered at Elizabeth's hands. The accounts painted a terrifying picture of her sadistic behavior, and it revealed the extent of her brutality and the shadow of fear that she cast over her entire region. Despite the mounting evidence and the gravity of the accusations, Bathory was never formally tried in a court of law. Instead, she faced a fate befitting her status. She was imprisoned in her own castle, where her once opulent surroundings turned into her own prison. The walls of her castle that had once sheltered her dark deeds became her own cage. She was bricked into a small room and was completely isolated from the world outside. The confinement was a stark contrast to the power she once wielded, and it was here that she spent her final years, where she eventually died in 1614. While Elizabeth faced no formal trial, her accomplices did not escape justice. They were put on trial as well for their roles in the ghastly events that unfolded under her command. The fates of these individuals varied. Some were executed, while others faced different forms of punishment. Despite the involvement of others, Elizabeth remained the central figure of the horror. Elizabeth's imprisonment marked the end of her reign of terror, yet the mythos surrounding her life, it just kept growing and the stories kept getting exaggerated over the years. Here's a fun fact. The word bathroom is believed to be connected to the infamous Hungarian countess. Some tales of her bloodbaths contributed to her legacy, but over time, bathroom became synonymous. Where we go to bathe suggests that its origin could be linked to her story, symbolizing a place where one cleanses and rejuvenates. Twisted reflection of Bathory's macabre methods. Symbol of the darkest aspects of human nature, she embodies our collective fears, intrigues, are etched in the annals of history as the Blood Countess. She invites us to confront the complexities of power, quest for immortality, potential for evil that lies. You've just heard a chilling history of events that reminds us of the darker side of the Fountain of Youth legend. But here at Dark and Divine Encounters, we know that not all unexplained experiences are filled with virgin blood baths. Sometimes they bring an easy to follow step by step guide to longevity. So let's shift our focus from here. Our next story is going to uplift your spirit and remind you that you get to control the speed at which you age. All the answers to the Fountain of Youth are in your very body right now. In our quest for vitality and youthfulness, many of us turn to ancient practices that have stood the test of time. And among these intriguing traditions are the Tibetan Rites, a series of exercises that are shrouded in mystery, but believed to unlock our body's fullest potential. Rites not only promise physical rejuvenation, but they also connect us to a spiritual heritage that resonates deeply within. As we delve into the origins and practices of the Tibetan rites, we'll explore how their wisdom might be relevant today. I'm going to walk you through the rites step by step so that you can begin utilizing the Fountain of Youth today. So interestingly, these ancient exercises have also inspired modern fitness systems like Original Strength. This contemporary approach to movement draws on the principles found in the Tibetan rites, highlighting the importance of natural and instinctual movements for restoring vitality and strength. As we unravel the stories behind these rites, we'll uncover their significance in both ancient and modern contexts, revealing a pathway to healing that transcends time. So, in 1930s, Peter Kelder introduced the world to the Tibetan rites in his book, The Eye of Revelation. In this intriguing work, Kelder shares the tale of Colonel Bradford, who purportedly discovered these ancient exercises in a remote Tibetan monastery. The story paints a vivid picture of a Western man journeying into the heart of Eastern mysticism, where he encounters monks who practice these rituals to maintain their health and vitality. Bradford's discovery supposedly reveals a set of 5 exercises designed to rejuvenate the body and promote longevity, sparking a fascination that has endured for decades. However, as captivating as the narrative is, skepticism surrounds the true origin of the Tibetan rites. Many historians and practitioners question these exercises are genuinely Tibetan or merely a Western interpretation of Eastern practices. Despite Kelder's compelling account, there is a notable lack of historical evidence directly linking the rites to Tibetan monks or their ancient tradition. And this raises intriguing questions about the authenticity of the practice and whether they were ever part of a monastic regimen to begin with. It gets more interesting. Let me lose you. Some theories suggest that the Tibetan rites may have been influenced or adapted from various Eastern or Western practices, and they merged different cultural elements together to create a very unique theme. This blending of traditions is not uncommon, as practices often evolve with principles found in many ancient traditions focused on movement, energy flow, and the pursuit of longevity. This amalgamation invites us to reflect on how the quest for health and vitality transcends border and time. Explore the Tibetan rites, it is fascinating to see how they've influenced modern fitness systems, particularly original strength, which was created by Tim Anderson. Anderson emphasizes the importance of simple, natural movements that keep the body youthful, mirroring the core concepts found in the rites. So, by distilling these ancient exercises into practical everyday movements, he offers a contemporary approach to restoring vitality and strength, showcasing evidence of these principles. Compare the Tibetan rites to the resets that are used in original strength. We notice a strong emphasis on restoring natural human function. What does that mean? Each rite in the Tibetan rites, or reset, which is what the word they use in original strength, has a distinct movement, and it reflects a deep understanding of how our bodies are designed to move. Rites encourage a practitioner to engage with their bodies in ways that are instinctive, and it promotes overall wellness and longevity. So how does original strength in the Tibetan rites keep us young and youthful? Let's break it down.
Hey listeners, whether you're jetting off to explore a new city or rediscovering the hidden gems in your own backyard, I have got the perfect tip for you. Check out Viator, a TripAdvisor company, for amazing deals on tickets to experiences, attractions, landmarks, and activities all over the globe. Imagine snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, touring historic castles in Europe, or even taking a thrilling ghost tour right here at home. Viator has it all, and at reduced prices too. So you might even find tickets to visit the incredible places that we talk about right here on Dark and Divine Encounters. Why wait? Dive into your next adventure with Viator and make every trip unforgettable. Affiliate link in the show notes to get started and support Dark and Divine Encounters while you're at it. Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and invite your family and friends to listen to our podcast too. And if you're listening on Spotify, scroll down to participate in the questionnaire or leave a comment. Thank you so much.
So how does original strength in the Tibetan rites keep us young and youthful? Let's break it down. A significant aspect of the Tibetan rites is their focus on spine mobility and full body coordination, foundational elements of both the rites and original strength. The movement helps to enhance flexibility, balance, and strength while addressing the body's natural alignment. This attention to the spine is especially vital because it plays a crucial role in overall health and well-being, impacting everything from posture to energy flow. The Tibetan rites have garnered attention not just for their physical benefits, but also their profound effect on the nervous system. Engaging in these exercises stimulates communication between the brain and body, enhancing the body's responsiveness. When we move, we activate a very complex network of nerves, and those nerves relay information throughout our system, promoting better coordination and reaction times. This heightened communication helps reset the automatic nervous system, which plays a pivotal role in managing stress and relaxation. By balancing these functions, the rites create an environment which is very conducive to healing and rejuvenation. A lot of us are functioning from a fight, flight, fawn, fear. The movements that are done in both original strength and the Tibetan rites, they get us out of that fight, flight, and they put us back into a space of safety. The body can really focus on healing and rejuvenating and staying young. Because when you're in a state of stress all the time, you're not going to heal properly or fully. Emphasis on movement and balance in the Tibetan rites also helps facilitate energy flow in the body. As practitioners engage in these ancient exercises, they find themselves not only improving physical strength and flexibility, but they find that it nurtures their mental and emotional well-being as well. This holistic approach encourages a state of mindfulness, allowing individuals to become much more attuned to their own bodies. And through this awareness, Practitioners can recognize and release tension, which paves a way for deeper relaxation and stress reduction, which can only benefit you. Healing benefits are often associated with the Tibetan rites. Practitioners believe that these exercises help balance the energy centers in the bodies, commonly referred to as chakras, centers. When these energy centers are aligned and functioning properly, the body can better harness its natural healing capabilities. And when it comes to healing, it's not just healing from illness or injury. Healing is also about rejuvenating. The rites claim to increase vitality, promote flexibility, and support the body's natural processes, emphasizing the interconnectedness of physical and energetic health. The principles of the Tibetan rites resonate with modern concepts of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. By engaging in mindful movement like that's found in the rites, we can stimulate these pathways, potentially reversing physical degeneration and enhancing functioning. So what does that mean? That these rites can reverse any physical damage that has been done and enhance your brain's natural ability to think, process, resolve, and grow. This relationship highlights the importance of movement, not just for the body, but for the mind, illustrating how physical practices can foster mental resilience and adaptability. Physical bodies and our mental minds are directly connected, and the rites allow you to address both simultaneously. Incorporating the Tibetan rites into our routines can offer a multifaceted approach to health and wellness. So, I know you've been waiting for this. How do we actually perform the Tibetan rites? Here is a step-by-step guide. I'm going to read through it for you, but there's also going to be a copy on my website. You can find in the video description. Also find a lot of instructional videos on YouTube as well, and I'll try to include links to that too. Tibetan rites. Here's a step-by-step guide. Right 1 is spinning. Stand up straight with your feet shoulder width apart. Extend your arms straight out to the sides, parallel to the ground. Take a deep breath and start to spin to your right in a clockwise direction. Keep your arms extended and your body relaxed as you spin. Spin for about 15 to 30 seconds, and then stop and take a moment to regain your balance. If you need to do it less than 15 seconds, that's totally fine. Start where you're comfortable and don't push it. Is this good? Why is spinning good? This movement helps improve your balance and stimulates the vestibular system, which is important for coordination. Right 2 is leg raise. What you're going to do is lie down on your back on a comfortable surface like a mat or a carpet. Keep your arms flat at your sides. Simultaneously lift both legs and your head off the ground. Your legs should be straight. Hold this position for a moment and then gently lower your legs and head back down at the same time. When your legs and head are up, your body should be in the shape of a V. You'll repeat this movement for the desired number of reps. We can talk about reps and how much we do these things later on after I go through the steps with you. Start where you're comfortable. If you cannot lift both legs and your head off of the ground, start with one leg in your head. If you can't do your one leg in your head, do one leg and then do the other leg and then lift your head. So start where you can. Don't push it. This exercise is particularly good because it strengthens the core muscles and stimulates energy flow in the body. It really aligns the direction of energy going from the core to the head and from the core to your feet. 3 is camel pose. What you will do in this position is you will kneel on the ground with your knees width apart, your hands on your lower back for support. Slowly arch your back and tilt your head back, looking up towards the ceiling. This is going to be a back bend, except that you have your hands on your back. This position for a few breaths, feeling the stretch in your spine. and then return to your upright kneeling position. So you'll basically just straighten your back. Is this good? Back bends like this one stimulate the nervous system and energize the body. They put energy in it and make you want to move. Our fourth rite is top pose. You're basically going to put your body into a tabletop position. So what's that look like? You're going to sit on the ground with your legs extended straight out in front of you. Place your hands on the ground behind you, fingers pointing towards your feet. Then you're going to press your hands and lift your hip up off the ground, forming a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Hold this tabletop position for a few breaths, and then lower your body back down. You cannot get your entire body up. Do what you can and start where you can. It's okay if you can't do these positions in full. Why is this position good? This pose strengthens your arms and core while promoting balance. 5 is downward dog to upward dog. Downward dog and upward dog, these are westernized yoga names. So we're going to start in downward dog position. What that looks like is you have your hands on the ground, your hips raised, and your body is forming an inverted V shape. Again, I'll have images on the video and on the website. Here you'll shift your weight forward and lower your hips to the ground as you lift your chest and head up into the upward dog position. Hold this position for a moment and then push back into downward dog. You'll repeat this flow for the desired number of reps. And why is this good? This fluid movement focuses on flexibility, strengthens the spine and the back, and really works on balance. Any activity you can do that strengthens your sense of balance and coordination is going to make the aging process so much easier. So, repetitions. Let's talk about reps. Generally recommended to start with 3 to 5 repetitions of each movement. Again, if you can only do one, start there. Gradually build up to 21 repetitions of each exercise daily for best results. Yes, every day. It is recommended to do this every day. If you're starting off and you find that you have a lot of muscle soreness and you need rest, listen to your body and do that. That's okay. The goal is to be able to do these movements every day, and they should only take about 15 to 30 minutes depending on your pace. Consistency is key, so try to incorporate these rites into your routine to enjoy their full benefits. Tibetan rites embody the concept that simple, intentional movements unlock profound healing and vitality for both the mind and body. And while the exact origins of these practices may be debated, the benefits they offer are clear and impactful. So by incorporating these rites or similar movements from modern systems like original strength into our daily routines, we can foster a deep connection with our bodies and enhance our overall well-being. Want to hear your own paranormal experiences or unexplained experiences? Have you had an encounter with a spirit or experienced something that you can't explain? Send your experiences our way and you might hear them featured in an upcoming episode. You can reach out via email, social media, or through our website. And if you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or make a small donation, my donation links are in the show description along with a link to the show notes. Please feel free to comment below if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, and participate in the questionnaire if you're listening on Spotify by scrolling down on the screen. Podcast with people you know who love scary stories, spiritual lore, and anything unexplained. Your support helps us keep exploring real unexplained encounters together. And that brings me to the end of the episode today. We have balanced the scales of the paranormal, revealing both the unsettling and uplifting. Thank you for listening to Dark and Divine Encounters. Until next time, remember to spin, breathe deep with your belly, and tread lightly but fearlessly.